Okay, folks, the stage has been set. It is now only going to be the Table Talk with James and the James Hour. Through painstaking decisions and meetings today, we will only have your host, James, for the Table Talk with James and the James Hour, live every day. My hat's off and thanks to all those who have been involved with the Table Talk with James and the James Hour up until this point. Now we have to get in the seat and take over the reins. So now we will see just James. There will be sometimes a special guest co-host, but from here on out, just James. We will tackle these issues all together. So James and the staff here at 97 FM The Hot, as well as Vivid Horizons Productions, are working hard to get the stories to you and for you. So stay tuned to the show listings for the Table Talk with James and the James Hour. Good day. Hey guys, this is James and Rochelle here on 97 FM. We are here live on location in our homes, and we are ready to start off this week, which is going to be our mental health and addictions week. We urge you guys to bear with us as we get through this week. Mental health is a very touchy subject, and I do thank the radio station for allowing us to explore these options and those things that we face on a day-to-day basis. I know with myself, within this last couple of weeks, it's been a rough one for myself and Rochelle, and I can speak for both of us on that one. But we are here and we are back and we are ready. I do apologize on behalf of myself and Rochelle that we have not been able to get to you guys live for the last week on each day that we chose. But there's been a lot of technical difficulties as well as personal things that do arise. And that is one of the disadvantages of being a on location host from your home. Hi, Rochelle. How are you today?
How are you?
I'm here. I'll say that.
In my home?
In your home.
I can see you.
Oh, she can see me. And she's being a fucking goddamn, you know what? She is now one of my good cohorts as well. And I think we both share almost the same, or not the same, but similar issues during this week.
Yeah, I have a very big interest in this topic. This topic is huge. I myself suffer from mental health as well as addiction issues in my family and in myself. I know you do as well.
Yes.
It plays a very huge impact on who we are, good and bad.
Right.
I do have to say, there's a huge stigma, but I have to say that I honestly think mental health also plays a huge role in making you who you are in a good way also.
And I think that this show is something good because we both identify with mental health as well as addiction issues. And this is something that also we can grow from because, like they say around quote unquote the rooms, to get something back from it, you have to give something to it. And
well, I've given a lot to these.
Right. And to me, when I know with me facing mental health issues, it's kind of hard to actually work with those who are knowing that they have these issues, but they're smugging it because they don't want the stigma of, oh, they're no good. Folks, mental health issues or disabilities does not mean that you can't do the day-to-day task. It just takes us a little bit more
And it
effort.
also doesn't make you any less person, any bad person, or you shouldn't be embarrassed, because it also, I'm sorry, but I think normal people are pretty boring sometimes.
Yes.
I'm gonna be honest. I think it makes us who we are and unique in each individual way. And I think that we should all be proud of who we are, both negative and positive. I think if you're crazy a little bit, hey, you know what? I like you even more.
And I think it gives you much more of a lackluster life.
Right.
Really, because it gives you more of a one-dimensional, instead of one-dimensional, you're more of a 3D type of a person. And in my life, I've noticed how normalcy is not normal, because what really is,
None of us know.
right. So how could you say that? How could anyone say that, oh, I'm normal? They're not normal.
I think I'm normal.
I think I'm normal.
I think I'm the most normal of us all.
And that's because you
No,
live.
I'm lying. I think I'm insane. But I don't think I'm normal at all. But and you're definitely not normal.
Well, I'm not normal, and don't judge me. Here she goes.
Oh, I ain't judging you.
She's back again, guys, with the bull crap of judging me. Last time we were on, I think I was a whore.
I don't know. That's every time. But
I'm going to keep going on
it's a
that.
popular thing. But I was just saying, mental health, I just wish people would stop being embarrassed about it and start talking about it more. I know in my family, I don't even want to mention who, but I have someone in my family who's very, 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 very self-conscious of it. And I wish that that person would just understand that it makes them so much more unique and so much more special. And everything about it is wonderful, no matter what. No matter what. And it's definitely not something to be embarrassed by. You should never be embarrassed of yourself for anything of who you are.
Exactly.
I feel you should literally just
love the skin you're in.
Yeah, definitely.
And by embracing it, I think
it's embracing. That's the word I was looking for. Definitely embrace who you are.
And I think that makes us much more apt to live with it and to be able to deal with it better. Because I'm not going to hide who I am.
Right. It's better to live with it and not be embarrassed and shelter yourself and bring yourself out of yourself, because honestly, you're going to only live one time. Make sure you live. It doesn't matter what other people think. It matters what you think.
That's right.
And I mean, be polite and have manners, and, of course, always try to be positive to other people. But if they're going to be negative about you, listen, still it doesn't matter what they think. It's about you. As long as you are proud of the things you do, that's all that matters, and the people you love.
And I tell people all the time, I love me. I love me for who I am and why I am. There is no generalization for me, I think, with anybody, because we're all unique individuals and we're cut, but we're not cut from the same cloth as nobody.
It took me a long time to love myself. I really did. But you know what? I've come to terms with who I am. There's negatives, there's positives, but it is what it is. Let's just put it that way. There ain't no changing that. So I love me sometimes. I hate myself sometimes too, because I can't ever find out. But honestly, I love my kind of crazy sometimes.
Right.
Unless I'm in jail.
And, and I think we've all had that run in with ACJ a little bit.
12-hour stretch.
Well, I think I did like 48 hours I was down there.
Yeah, the vodka.
Baby.
The vodka, that's crazy, and
I think it was the Bizzles for me.
Kennywood.
Bizzles was for me. And at one point, because in that area, and I'm still kind of fresh with it, I'm not as control. Because, right. And that's because I'm not as careered, for lack of a better term, as most. I didn't spend my life on drugs. I didn't spend my adult life on drugs. Correct. I got into my mid-age and I started doing things that was seemed to be out of the norm. But with my education and my background, it allowed me to say, wait a minute, James.
What the hell are you doing?
Right. And why the hell did you wait until you're almost your golden age to start doing things that most people experimented with? But, and I'm not glorifying it. I'm thankful that it didn't happen until, because I would not have been able to gain some of those things that most people don't have. Not that I have a lot, because again, I'm on a radio show and I'm still in a struggle. And that's a struggle for everything.
Every day is always going to be a struggle. I know that. When you have mental health and addiction, every minute of every day for the rest of your life is a struggle.
Yeah.
It's always a struggle. It's always going to be a struggle. I think you have to realize that, accept it, pack a lunch, sit back. You need to be able to laugh a little bit, though, too.
And that was my problem. And I will say this, Rochelle even brought it up to me. I was, and I still can be, stuffy. I'm real moderate conservative in most of my views, but that comes from my upbringing and the people that I won't say had to be around, the people that I was around, because there's two parts of my life. One part was adolescence, where I didn't really, I wasn't away from it. I was still a part of it, but I wasn't a part of it because I was sheltered from it. But then I was totally, and I did not know how to adjust to general society, which also didn't allow me to fall into my skin and realize that I did have something. Even my parents didn't realize that I had certain
What
mental
age do you
disabilities.
think that onset? Where do you think?
My experiment started, I was 17. And I do remember that. I was with a high school friend's family member, and I started experimenting in those things. And I didn't really get them. And I think it was because I wasn't supposed to get it at that time. I wasn't.
What kind of symptoms do you think? First, mental health.
Nervousness around people.
Mm-hmm.
I was antisocial. I didn't want to
Mm-hmm.
socialize with people.
Mm-hmm.
I was always by myself.
Mm-hmm.
That loner kind of.
Fake self-esteem.
Exactly. And I always felt as though I had to have the latest outfit. I had to have the latest label. If I didn't have those things, I wasn't James. I wasn't. And it was. But, and also I didn't realize that this talent that I had that I don't still express, excuse me, was being pushed further and further back. It was being hindered. Everything that I did was to please someone. And that was the worst thing that I could do to myself. And I had wonderful parents. I had parents that were understanding, that didn't give a care of what you were going through, because they were supposed to be there to go through it. And
do you think they understood?
They understood, but they wanted to let me do it on my own, because it was, my parents didn't want to build my personality. They wanted me to get my personality.
Well, that's awesome that they understood it. See, I feel like I kind of was very much stuck in trying to hide it. Then I was, yeah, I feel like it would have been, probably my family would have been like upset.
You know, looking back on it, like I, I didn't take advantage of the parents that I had, because a lot of my friends, I can now look back on it because of.
I had great parents. I really think our parents try the best they can. And honestly, they're struggling with their own, when they're punishing bills, and you don't understand that kids, everything should be for sure.
Right.
They're dealing with it now. We're dealing with
And for me, and I don't like to place blame, but I kind of felt societal values. Society put values on what you should be, how you should be, what you should look like, what kind of job you should have, how you should be in public, how you shouldn't be. And that in itself too stifles a person to get help for their mental health issues.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, until 2008, the American Medical Association didn't even recognize drug addiction as an actual disease or anything that would be able to be treated or anything you could go to your doctor and say, I have an issue with using substances. And they would, at that point, you were a drug addict.
Right. And that's bad.
There was no treatment, no medicines, no nothing. You were treated for mental health, you were crazy, or you were normal.
Right.
There was no anything on
in between those lines.
No. And what they did was prescribe you the drugs, lots of them,
which made you
to self-medicate yourself. And then, the pills became quite a big problem for people. Now, here's the biggest problem of all. Is that now, they don't want to give you any drugs at all. Because now they got in trouble for giving too many. So the people, they're like, I genuinely need my medication. I genuinely need it. I don't overuse it for my mental health. It's genuine, but I can't even get it prescribed. And so they're over-medicating, over-prescribing, now no prescribing. How is that? That's not working.
That doesn't create a balance because they created another monster on top of a monster, which creates a beast.
Well, now people are using illegal drugs.
Right.
Fentanyl, heroin, marijuana has always kind of been medicinal. But, now people are out there buying drugs on the streets because their doctors aren't able to give them anything but medications that may actually make it worse, have side effects, don't know what it's going to do. And the drugs that you actually need, they're not allowed to write. There's limits. That's not really treating medical conditions.
It's not treating nothing.
No.
And
it's treating the numbers.
Right.
Statistics.
Statistics. And the statistic numbers is what society goes on. They don't go off of the actual real issue.
But the statistics aren't correct because basically it's you could prescribe 30% medication. 30%. To who? So what about if 100% of your patients need the medication? So you can only do 30%. So who do you prescribe the 30% to? Older people.
Right. And they're already far gone.
Yeah, right. So it's a mess. I really think that there needs to be handled. There's a lack of doctors, lack of psychiatrists. Sometimes it takes 2 to 3 months to even see a doctor at all.
And then
what do you do in those 2 to 3 months?
And it's not proper training for any kind of therapist, psychologist, or any of that. Because I myself, I got a bachelor's. But there's issues that within myself.
We find that the biggest problem with doctors in the mental health field is that they don't know exactly what mental health is because they don't suffer from it themselves.
Exactly.
You cannot diagnose, treat, prescribe medication for somebody who has
Yep.
You don't even know what mental health is. I really don't like I do not like the medical field at all. In mental health, I'm going to tell you right now, there's a stigma. They turn their nose up at you. You are treated as a number. They look at you and they're basically, in a nutshell, I feel like you're being judged the whole goddamn time.
You definitely are.
And they don't listen. They just want to put you in a category, tell you what you need, what you don't need, and throw you out the door. And they don't want to listen to what the hell you have to say about it.
Now, and I have to apologize to the ACA. And here is where my issue is. Because psychology is really based upon self-value. And you can't have a medical condition based off of someone else's value.
Exactly. It should be you and the doctor working together 50-50.
Exactly. Because I know with me, and I was fortunate enough to be in part of a medical system that designated you in the areas of life that you suffered from. And I do applaud Mercy Behavioral here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the UPMC chapter. They are one of the best places in Pittsburgh that you can go. I can't speak about New York because I don't know what New York's medical system is.
We need to find out for later.
We will find out more this week because we're going to take it a whole week.
We would like, if anybody can give us some feedback on what you would like to hear about this week, we would really love to hear it. Where would they be able to send their questions to?
They can send their questions to, and I will put this in the video post on Spotify. They can send those questions to my email, which is my last name,
or
Fed,
suggestions.
First name, James, 806 @gmail.com, or you can send it to Rochelle's email, and she'll give you that right now.
It's Shelly Harkey. So SHELLYHARKE 13
And we will answer all of your questions as we get them, and we will more than likely hold them until we come back on Wednesday. We will be picking up another day this week. We don't know which day, but it'll be another day because this is going to be a vivid. I mean,
this is a lot of important information.
A very lot.
And I really would love to do a actual where we can actually chat with live. We have a lot of technical issues we need to work out. Let's put it this way. The app that we're using, we hate it. It's kind of stifling the fact that we really would like to be able to interact more with you guys. And it's making it, we're working on it, so please bear with us.
Yeah, we're working on it.
This is definitely a work in progress here. But we are working on it, and this show, we are going to make it as good as we possibly can. You know, we just are excited as we can be, but we have to get the technical aspect of that caught up.
And folks, and I do want to take some credit for the issue because I did lose my engineer and I did lose a couple of people along the way, but because it's very, very expensive for a rookie radio talk show host to get together. So what we're going to do is probably get a GoFundMe page for those of you who do listen to us. That last report, there's 9,600 of you guys in New York City alone that listen to us. Pittsburgh has been picking up very, very big in our analytics, and I want to stress this to you guys.
We do buy our own equipment. So what we're trying to do is really try to get this radio on the road. And as I said, we are also working on trying to get a community center down here in Keys Rocks as well for the community and the children. That was another step in progress. So I really want to try to put together a little Facebook page. So please bear with me. I'm going to get that up and running so that you can follow that, and that way we can get more interaction going.
Now, we do have a Facebook page.
But I need to work on it and update that.
And she's going to be working on it. We will respond to you guys from the email with that Facebook information.
And what is the Facebook page?
The Facebook page is, and I have to pull it up because we did just change the name because Rochelle is part of my main crew, and we're not changing that. That's not changing, period. I don't care who thinks what or says what. This is what it is, and it's going to be that way. Because, again, and I hate to get like this, but it's my show, my thought, my film, so we're going to keep it that way. So right now it is called Vivid, VIVID, Horizons, HORIZONS. Again, Vivid Horizons, Table Talk with James, and that name will also be changing. So Rochelle is actually in the process of getting that page together because, you know, guys, before it was just me doing it, and I now have a actual person who is actively involved and will also be taking charge.
So please keep visiting as I'm updating. I really would love your feedback.
Okay, guys, this is James and Rochelle here at 5:52 at the bottom of the hour on 97 FM. Don't forget also the suicide line. And what is that,
This
Rochelle?
is the it's the mental health hotline, national helpline number. If anybody's having a health crisis in mental health or addiction, you can dial 988. It's the suicide and crisis lifeline for assistance.
So again, that is 988. Mm-hmm. You do not have to have any kind of long distance, but they will be there. Again, this
across
is
the country.
Across the country. This is James
and Rochelle.
We are here on 97 FM. We are getting ready to take a commercial break. Okay, folks, the stage has been set. It is now only going to be the Table Talk with James and the James Hour. Through painstaking decisions and meetings today, we will only have your host, James, for the Table Talk with James and the James Hour. Live every day. My hat's off and thanks to all those who have been involved with the Table Talk with James and the James Hour up until this point. Now we have to get in the seat and take over the reins. So now we will see just James. There will be sometimes a special guest co-host, But from here on out, just James. We will tackle these issues all together. So James and the staff here at 97 FM The Hot, as well as Vivid Horizons Productions, are working hard to get the stories to you and for you. So stay tuned to the show listings for the Table Talk with James and the James Hour. Good day. All right, guys, we are back in Rochelle here on 97 FM with At the Table with James and Rochelle. Before the break, we were talking about the 988 number, the mental health substance abuse line that the government has provided for everyone across the country to be able to access 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, including holidays.
And I will be putting those on the Facebook page.
So now we will be going through this all week because of the extensiveness that this topic has. I myself want to also talk about the other stigmas that bring on some people's mental health issues that come from mental abuse, physical abuse, and sexual abuse inside the home and outside. I want you guys to, if you can't reach out to someone, reach out to us. We will be able to point you in the right direction so that you yourself can get the help that you need.
Of course, if it is an emergency, please
dial 988
or 911.
Yes.
Always.
So, Rochelle, what else do you have to add to what we are talking about?
Well, number one, I wanted to say, I think that we need to start, I didn't even realize, think about mental health when it comes on as an onset. And only because I know someone who's then I realized when my onset. I think it's important as parents that we pay attention. I don't think that we ever think our kids are going to have these issues. And I think that we simply think perfectly fine. It's very surprising when you realize, oh wow. So I think honestly, we need to be more prepared for them and deal with them more. Because I know a lot about it. I'm just trying to ignore it and hope it'll go away. Mm-hmm. Or, oh, it's not my kid. But you know what? It is. The statistics are very, very high.
And it doesn't go away. Especially with this generation of children.
It's 50%.
And that's bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's bad that we aren't focusing more attention on this because it's very important. The jail statistics I was reading. Let me get to that. Hold on. Let me go back to that. So the incarceration rates for mental health for people with misdemeanors is extremely high. These people should be definitely being treated for mental health with medicine or treatment of therapy and stuff like that, not being placed in jail. That isn't working because they're not paying attention to the mental health aspect, just the actions that are being done.
Right. And they need to pay attention to that because the actions that are done, that's the cause of it. Right. Like they say, every action has a reaction. And that's the reaction to most people who don't understand some of the things that they're going through.
And being placed in jail, honestly, is very, very, very scarring. It can be damaging to their mental health also. So it's very, 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 very touchy. Very touchy.
And that's why last week when we were talking about this, we were kind of at a loss because we didn't know which avenue, because mental health is so wide ranged that you really don't know where to start at.
So I have pulled up something on this, and it says here, incarceration can trigger and worsen symptoms of mental health, and the effects can last long after someone leaves prison. It says the talk about disturbingly high numbers of people with mental health disorders locked up in prisons and jails, but less attention is paid to the ways in which the incarceration can perpetuate the problem by worsening it. Also, it shows that it varies from person to person how incarceration can be linked to their disorder. It's also the environment is damaging to mental health by removing people from society and eliminating the meaning, purpose from their lives, treatments, any kind of, positive stuff.
Like Rochelle lives close to a housing, well, apartment building that's full of mentally challenged people.
Very much.
And it's not conducive to this and to their environment.
Somebody actually in the building stabbed their caseworker.
My sister.
Severely. And honestly, this person, to be honest with you, she needs monitored treatment in her living.
And that goes to the state because when they started closing down all of those places,
Mayview got closed down. Yep. Western Psychiatric had to take on all the patients. There was no room. They actually had to place them in our neighborhoods, right next door.
Yeah.
And you don't even know it.
Right.
And not monitoring. There's no monitoring.
And it can be bad because they could hurt you. They could hurt someone that's visiting you. They could set your building on fire.
And honestly, the unmonitoring, they're using drugs in the building and there's not anybody tracking these people. They could literally just not go to treatment, sit there and live next to you, do drugs, and be as crazy as could be.
For lack of a better term, there's no help desk. There's no on the hour, every hour kind of
or at least daily or weekly
worker that's actually involved with these people. When I first started in that area, there were people that was designated to be there round the clock.
Yeah.
So that someone would be there to be able to help these folks.
I actually, I worked for Western Psych for 4 years as administrative to the medical director and the caseworkers. So I was administrative support for them. And I worked with the most severely ill patients in Pennsylvania. Schizophrenics, bipolar, highly, they had what's called intensive outpatient treatment. So IOP, meaning they go 3 to 5 days a week. It's almost like school. Okay. It's literally very intensive because these patients are on strict monitoring. So I actually worked in there, but there's not enough people. There's not enough coverage. And honestly, there's just a lot of people in residential living that are not being monitored at all. It's scary numbers. I would say that you probably have about 10 people within 3 streets that are probably living amongst you, but you don't even know.
And that's so disheartening to the fact of the system that monitors and regulates these people.
And no, they're not bad people, mind you.
No, they're not.
That's not to say this.
It's just the disorders that they have
are dangerous.
Yeah.
It's not treated properly. And in any unknowing circumstances arise that may get them distraught or upset, could trigger an episode and could lead to somebody getting hurt, and then they get thrown in jail, and that's not helping anything. But here's some other statistics I want to give you. There's also a family disconnection. Okay, so basically, the people with social support, positive family, tend to have better psychological well-being. But people who are incarcerated, it makes it harder for them to connect with their family because their families don't understand this. Also, separation from your children is distressing for women. But honestly, it's just a lack of purpose in life.
Very much so. Folks, we're getting ready to take a 15-minute break because we have to send it back to the station for the 6 o'clock news. We did run over a little bit, but that's because of information. We will be right back. This is James.
And Rochelle.
Here on 97 FM with At the Table with James and Rochelle.
In the rain, you're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me high and dry. Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're channeling wind and rain.
Good morning. Today is June 15th, 2023. There are times that we sit back and we take for granted the things that God has given unto yourself and me. When we don't look at the true issue, which can be self, or it could be other. But the best way for me to see things is to, one, first look at self. Then I could begin to fathom the thought of looking elsewhere. A lot of the times I even have the issue with looking at as the legendary, famous Michael Jackson wrote the song saying, "The man in the mirror." That's a very, very hard thing for any man, woman, or child to do. And that's only because it's in human nature for us to be on the defensive when it comes to self-observation. Many people go throughout their day on the defensive because the fear of looking at oneself. And even me, I come into that obstacle myself. Sometimes the hard core truth and sometimes constructive criticism that's meant for good, some may look at it as a jab at your personal integrity or a jab at you as a person, when all the opposite is in play. A lot of the times we get constructive criticism from a person who is not maliciously attacking us, nor are they coming at our character or our person, but they are trying to open our eyes up to things that. So for the full on take from this morning's podcast presentation on the radio on 97 FM, please go to the URL added at the end of this video.